Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Hoping you are having a good day. I would not make this introduction any longer, and I would like to introduce you all to our group and the group members. We are ang mga Katipunera, and the group members are Eliza G. Bodiongan, Carmel Petronella Ascatan, Shaina May B. Everdone, Danica Musqueda, Junalyn B. Pugoy, and last but not the least, Vanilidel S. Yason. Before we start our report, let us first have our prayer and have the presence of our Almighty to bless our day.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of God, as we all say, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty Father, we thank you for all your love and graces. Thank you for this another day we have, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet in this platform and enlighten one another. We pray that you would make our way purposeful and our footsteps firm out of your goodness and love. Give us a heart of wisdom to hear your voice and make us strong by your huge favor and grace. We also pray that you will comfort us in our suffering, lend skill to the hands of the healers, and bless the means used for the cure to the afflicted. Lastly, may the reporters be given wisdom and knowledge to be imparted to the viewers, and may the people who are watching this video be blessed and put this learning not just in their minds but also in their hearts. This we ask through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So, our presentation for today will be tackling about Cavite Mutiny, or ang pag-alsa sa Cavite, and some of the first-hand and second-hand accounts that prove that the event Cavite Mutiny happened. At the end of this discussion, the learners should be able to analyze the context, content, and perspective of different kinds of primary sources. Determine the contribution of different kinds of primary sources in understanding Philippine history. Develop critical and analytical skills with exposure to primary sources. And demonstrate the ability to formulate arguments in favor or against a particular issue using primary sources. Let us now proceed to the discussion. Many historians said that the Cavite Mutiny of 1872 is one of the catalysts of the momentous 1898 revolution. It is said that there will be no 1896 Philippine Revolution if there was no 1872 Cavite Mutiny. So what happened on year 1872? What was the Cavite Mutiny? There are two major happenings on year 1872. The Cavite Mutiny and the martyrdom of the three priests in the persons of Father Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, or the Gomburza Fathers. So, Cavite Mutiny was known as one past but many histories. This is primarily because of the two versions of the event, the Spanish version and the Filipino version. The Spanish version believed that the Cavite Mutiny was premeditated and a big conspiracy among educated leaders, mestizos, lawyers, and residents of Manila and Cavite. They allegedly planned to liquidate high-ranking Spanish officers, then kill friars. However, in Filipino version, the incident was merely a mutiny by Filipino soldiers and laborers of the Cavite arsenal, to the dissatisfaction arising from the draconian policies of Esquerdo, such as the abolition of privileges and prohibition of the founding of the School of Arts and Trades. Whatever happened back then, even having two versions, one thing was for sure. The January 20, 1872 Cavite Mutiny was unsuccessful, and government soldiers executed many of the participants. This includes the Gomburza fathers. This is because the three martyred priests was tagged as the masterminds of the mutiny in Cavite. The Spanish clergy connected the priests to the mutiny as part of the conspiracy to stifle the movement of secular priests who desired to have their own parishes, instead of being assistants to the regular friars. They were sentenced, put into trials, and garroted publicly on February 17, 1872. The execution was served as a threat to Filipinos to never attempt to fight the Spaniards again. Also, the scene was purportedly witnessed by a young Jose Rizal. Now that you understand the 1872 major events, especially the Cavite Mutiny, we would like to mention or discuss to you the accounts of some individuals that contributed their experiences or understandings to the mutiny of year 1872 in Cavite.
Montero y Vidal, a prolific Spanish historian, documented the event and highlighted it as an attempt of the Indios to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines. Montero scored out that the abolition of privileges enjoyed by the workers of Cavite Arsenal, such as non-payment of tributes and exemption from the forced labor, were the main reasons of revolution, as how they called it. However, other causes were enumerated by them, including the Spanish Revolution, which overthrew the secular throne, dirty propagandas, and proliferated by unrestrained press, democratic, liberal, and republican books and pamphlets reaching the Philippines, and the most importantly, the presence of the native clergy, who out of animosity against the Spanish friars conspired and supported the rebels and enemies of Spain. Briefly, his account embodies the official interpretation of the mutiny in Cavite as part of the general revolt directed by the three priests under lay and clerical colleagues in Manila and Cavite, having as its aim an assassination of the Governor-General and a general massacre of all Spaniards.
Edmond Plachet, a Frenchman residing in Manila at the time of the revolt, gives a dispassionate account of the event and its causes in an article published in the French literary magazine Revenu des Deux Mondes in 1877. His account indignantly or sarcastically denied various allegations of Montero's but complemented Tavera's account by confirming that the event happened due to Governor-General Rafael Izquierdo E. Gutierrez exacting of personal taxes from the soldiers and workers, as well as his imposition of forced labor on them, which results to the discontentment of workers and soldiers in Cavite 4th. On 20th of January 1872, the day of the mutiny, the workers received their salaries and were surprised and angered at the same time due to the deductions of tributes and payments in lieu of forced labor from their salaries. They started the mutiny right away, but it was crushed as soon as it started because of a lack of coordination between the mutineers. His account also implied the innocence of the three priests as to any part of the mutiny.
Dr. Trinidad Hermenegildo Pardo de Tavera is the Filipino scholar and researcher who wrote the Filipino version of Cavite Bloodbath. Accounts of Pardo de Tavera was written for the official report of the census of 1903 as part of the General Survey of Philippine History. So, there is also an incident probability that Trinidad have had detailed knowledge of the 1872 event because of his uncle Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, but there is a little evidence shown in his account. So according to him, the incident was merely a mutiny by native Filipino soldiers and laborers at the Cavite arsenal who were dissatisfied with the loss of their privileges. So Tavera indirectly blamed Governor Izquierdo's cold-blooded policies. Tavera believed that the Spanish friars and Izquierdo used the Cavite Mutiny as a powerful lever to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines. Tavera confirmed that the Madrid government came to believe that the scheme as a true without making any attempt to investigate the true facts or the scope of the Allied Revolution reported by the Izquierdo and the friars.
Another second-hand accounts are the two documents which remains unpublished. The two documents were written by Father Agapito Chigoyon, a Recoleto, along with Father Antonio Pernavilla, who is an Augustinian. Both of them were taken prisoners by the revolutionary forces in Cavite in 1896. Both of their documents admits to the condemns a variety of crimes and abuses allegedly committed to the friars, beginning with a period just prior to the Cavite Mutiny. Their accounts both agree in attributing the execution of the three priests to friar intrigues. Father Agapito Chigoyon returned to the Philippines a few months later, claiming that his account was given to him by a fellow friar, Father Cipriano Navarro. The account of Chigoyon claimed that the heads of the friars ordered Smith to discuss how to get rid of the Burgos and other native clergy leader, and they decided to implicate them in a seditious plot. Father Antonio Pernavilla's account, on the other hand, attributes the deed to a Father Claudio del Arceo, whom he does not identify further, but who was a Recoleto parish priest in Santa Cruz, Zambales. According to him, Father Claudio del Arceo, disguised as Father Burgos, went to Cavite to spread the idea of the uprising. Mutiny was put down, put pressure on the Governor General through his secretary and the lady with a lot of cloth, as well as a gift of 40,000 pesos.
The first and second-hand accounts complemented and corroborated with one another, only that the some accounts was more credible and evident. Even having with two versions of the Cavite Mutiny, these events are used as sources of information to know more about our history, and inspire us to be not afraid in making a voice to any mistreatment and injustice act that will be done to our countrymen and country. This also inspires us to make our own written documents of any events such as journals and diaries, for it will contribute to the next generations, maybe to your grandchildren and so on. Able to deeply understand their past, we will never know that might be happen and might be called contribute to our country's historical documents.
Hope you have learned about Cavite Mutiny.
Kami ay ang mga Katipunera.
Signing off.
Bye!